be here this evening. And one of the persons that has already told me that I'm going to be a school crossing guard along with Mike Morris is Taylor Torrance. Okay. Where's Taylor? Taylor, come on up here. All right.
Good evening, y'all. How y'all doing?
Good.
First and foremost, I do want to say welcome to 40 Cliff. Those of you who have never been in our space before, welcome. I hope to see you again. This is the 40 Cliff Community Canvas, where we aim to liberate Oak Cliff from systemic oppression. Some of our goals is to improve the quality of life in this community and make the super block, as we call it, which is the 75216 zip code, but make the super block a beacon of hope. And we have a team of committed individuals here that come in every day and come in with joy and humor and love to serve our community. Can y'all raise y'all's hands? The 40 Cliff team is here. Thank y'all. Our team is here, but we also are trying to implore civic engagement to our youth. And we have some of our ambassadors here. Did y'all raise y'all's hands as well? Or super block superheroes? So it's important that they are here to hear what's going on and learn and share their thoughts and opinions as well. But I do want to just give gratitude to everyone that's here. We've seen some amazing transformation from our last meeting to now. I didn't think that some of the things that were done would be done, but you got them done. We got them done. The community and our advocacy got them done. And with that, a lot of times, I think it's important that we celebrate the wins and that we show gratitude. I don't know if everyone was in the last meeting, but I did have some emotional feelings about things that were going on. And I did challenge us to come out, you specifically. You asked that I want you to come out and be a crossing guard, and I told you, yes. You specifically come out. So I think it's only right for our community that, I don't know if you all saw, but on Lebanon and Veterans, right in front of Todd Middle School, there's a new intersection with some lights. Have any of y'all seen that?
Yep.
And there's even one coming up right here, about a block away from 40 Cliff. So those are things we should celebrate when those lights come on. I think that we do have the opportunity to go out and be that. Chris, can you bring me the bags real quick? There's 4 bags right there, yeah, bring those to me. So at 40 Cliff, we wanted to give some gifts, and I think I did tell you specifically to put on a vest and come out and join us. So here's yours. The names might be off, but we can get that done. Go ahead, open that up, man. Look and see what's in there. That's specific for y'all to help us. These are y'all crossing guard vests that we can have to ensure safety for our community and our kids. When we say things, we mean them, and I look forward to doing that in our community with you all. So thank you all for coming, and look forward to the continued progress in our community. Thank you. That one right there, then. This is mine right here. Yeah, these can be spread across. But how many y'all want to do? Here you go. Thank you all.
Carolina, that look right? Yeah. Look right. Right. And so y'all will see us. Y'all will see us out here one morning at the school crossing guard. I used to be a school crossing guard when I was a kid, so it's a continuation what I've done in the past. What I want to do is kind of go over some slides. Let's go and get the slides. I just want to kind of go over this and kind of give you an idea. This is the area that we're talking about. This is the project area right now. Okay? And you can see that total is like 15.23 miles that we're looking at. So make sure you have a good idea of what we're looking at. This right here shows the warnings that have been given, and we took 3 years to make certain that we just kind of looked at the trend, do a trend analysis, and also the citations that have been issued. So you can see that the Great Trinity Forest Way, which is east of 45, Ledbetter Drive, and also Walton Walker. These particular years for warnings and also citations. It's been stepped up, but we still have a long way to go, and we need to make sure we keep the pressure on as it relates to law enforcement, slowing down traffic in this stretch. Let's go to the next one. Here are the crashes and fatalities that you can see. Take a few minutes to take a look at it. Still too many. One is too many. I want to make sure we focus on the crashes. 2023, 157, 220 when we started this. It's at 181 and 2085. What's the source of this data? It comes from the Texas Department of Transportation. Fatalities, 3 in 2023, 4 in 2024, I'm looking at Ledbetter Drive, and 4 in 2025. As I said, 1 is. Let's go to the next slide. Total pedestrian fatalities. Take a look at it. Loop 12, talking about between 35 and 45. Total pedestrian fatalities, 12 and 23. So far this year, there's been 7 pedestrians, 5 and 23. So far, 4 in 2025. 1 is too many. What I want to do now is to present our district engineer. Susan's going to kind of tell you exactly what we promised you that we've been doing, the status of where we are, and the work that still needs to be done. So, Susan?
Yes, sir. Thank you for having us, Sir Royce. So the first slide, just reiterating the limits that we're looking at tonight on the work that we've done. So really starting in Walton Walker and going over to US 175. So since the last meeting, we have worked to warrant, what we call warrant, that essentially justifies putting in a signal at 16 different locations along Loop 12 altogether, 8 within the limits that we're discussing tonight. And so since the last meeting, not only did we warrant those 16 signals, we also designed all 16 signals. We have put them all out for bids, which means they're fully funded, and they're currently under construction. I think last meeting, you definitely challenged us. I think we said it'd take us a couple years to get the signals up. The senator challenged us, everyone in this room said, we've got to do better. And so we've tried to do better. We designed all of those signals within our own staff. We put several teams on it. And so some of the construction project progress that I'll show you tonight, if you want to go on to the next slide. These are the different locations of signals. So the red dots are signals that already exist today. The green dots are the new signals that we're putting in. You should see a lot of that progress already on Loop 12. And so if we go to the next slide, here's the progress here at Horizon Drive. We've got the signal poles up. We're working on putting the signal heads. That's what the actual bulbs that you'll see that go on the mast arms. But we've got some of the concrete flat work done. So this one's making good progress. Next slide. This is at Haas Drive. Again, we've got the poles up. You should see folks working out there just about every day during the week. They are making progress. They continue to work on it. We've challenged them by giving them an incentive. If they can get it done faster, we're going to pay them more money. And so we were able to find funding for that incentive. I want to keep going. This is at Stoneport Drive. One of our big focus areas is we noticed that a lot of the DART bus stops just dropped you off mid-block. And DART's going to talk about it here in a minute. But if we can put a signal closer to that DART bus stop, that means you're not going to have to walk along Ledbetter or Loop 12 until you get to another signal. We were noticing some people were walking 500, 800 feet just to get to a signal to provide for a safe location for folks to cross. And so by trying to locate it close to DART bus stops, especially the ones that are used more, hopefully we can provide closer access for a safer crossing once these signals are turned on. This one is at Longacre. Again, you can see the poles are already up, the signal heads are there. This one's getting close to being activated. This one's at Rodeo Lane, same thing, good progress there. We've got all the ramps in there at the intersection, the poles are up. The next challenge that we're working on is we've got to get power to the signals, and so we're working with Encore and the power companies to get that power going. So our hope is by spring of next year, all of these signals are working, but we plan on, as soon as we've got power to them, we're going to turn them on as soon as they're ready. And so we've got to build signal cabinets. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done, but we are pushing our contractor as hard as we can. They're financially incentivized by giving that incentive to try to finish it early. And so they are making good progress, but at the latest, it should be spring of next year that the signals will be working, which again is going to provide more access for pedestrians to cross safely. Hopefully it also slows down the traffic some. But if you're going to have to stop at a few more lights, that should intermediately slow down traffic as well. So in addition to the 16 signals that we're working on, we're still working on sidewalks. And so we've got sidewalks that are about to start construction from Jim Miller to 175. And then we're still focusing on Jim Miller to Pemberton Hill, as well as Marcellus to Mystic Trail. Some of those, it's very tight right-of-way, and so there are franchise utilities, there's telecoms and things like that we've got to get them to move in order to put in that signal, or put in that sidewalk. And so we're working with the utility companies as we're designing it in order to get them to move over, and that way we can get in the sidewalks. And so our goal is to have sidewalks continuous along Loop 12. We've got to work with our partners to get some things out of the way so that we can start installing those sidewalks. And then on top of that, we need illumination continuously along the corridor. There are spots of locations that you've got illumination that lights up the street. Our goal is to get illumination along the entire corridor. And so we found the funding for all of it. Now we're working on the design. And as soon as we can get the design done, we will push to go to construction quickly on the illumination. And that's the update for TechSide.
Okay.
Take questions at the end, Senator? Or?
Let's get all the presentations and then we'll take questions. Mike Moore.
Senator, thank you very much. Good evening. Hello to my colleagues. Taylor, thank you very much for the best. I did come out to the corridor several times. I didn't provide crossing. You'll see what this partnership has done. Calvin, I heard a rumor you're retiring. Can I have a round of applause for Calvin for his leadership? Calvin and I have been doing this for probably 25 years with the senator, and there's some projects that we did that involve fencing that we probably aren't going to talk about this evening. Okay, what's critical for me to try to get across is not one particular item is going to solve this particular problem. It has to be a comprehensive set of items. And I shared that particular vision, and these items all have to be done across the whole corridor as quickly as possible. I'm going to suggest to you again this evening that you have a junior freeway, and we're we're trying to turn it into a thoroughfare street as quickly as we can. And Loop 12, when you come down from Loop 12 on the west side, and you're coming from downtown on 35E, and you transition to Loop 12 heading east, you as a human being think you're still on a freeway because the roadway looks a lot like a freeway. And what we got to do is turn this into a thoroughfare street. It's a very rare situation that I'm going to show you about, and we're going to try to partner with the state to develop a program where this community can actually lead a statewide effort to make sure these particular corridors are fixed across the whole state of Texas. So in the meantime, Season says, well, Michael, I need some money for traffic signals. Season, here's 2 pots of money. Which pot do you want? I want the pot of money that's faster. So we went to the Regional Transportation Council. As the senator indicated, it takes a system of groups. The council member is on that Regional Transportation Council. They unanimously approved, totally out of sequence, the $15 million to put on this particular program. So lighting is critical. I come down this corridor all the time. Once you start introducing more illumination that Season is working on, I think it's going to start changing the pulse of this junior freeway some more, especially when the traffic signals go up. You start adding the sidewalks to that particular situation. We need to maintain the police enforcement. Remember, after COVID, we lost a lot of police enforcement, where police officers no longer wanted to be police officers during that time frame. The senator already presented to you the active police enforcement that's occurring. We have great partnerships in DART. Hey, transit agency, when do we put in a traffic signal to meet your bus stop? Hey, partner transit agency, when do you move your bus stop so it coexists with the new traffic signal? Why is that important to tie the bus stop to the traffic signal? Because if DART puts their bus stop at a mid-block right in front of a whole bunch of folks that are trying to get on transit, that pedestrian on the other side wants to get on transit and crosses mid-block. It is so dark, you can't cross at mid-block at this speed of traffic on the corridor. So we're partnering to align either the traffic signal or the bus stop with the traffic signal, so the pedestrian that's crossing to get on DART has a much safer way to do that. The pedestrian grade separation options are still being looked at Glendale Park. I need the community to tell me if a pedestrian bridge is built at Glendale Park, are you actually going to take the pedestrian bridge, because it's longer, or are you going to walk to the traffic signal and simply cross at grade? We went and purchased 10 dynamic signs, portable dynamic signs. I'm going to ask Season, there are 5 of them I think are in their district or soon to be in the district. I would like to bring out more portable dynamic message signs, especially in the eastbound direction. When you're coming off of Southern Gateway, hey, pedestrians ahead, you're not on a freeway, put your phone down, pay attention, it's dark outside. I need a whole series of messages. I would like the community to help tell us what the messages should be on the sign, and where else we need to post those portable dynamic message signs. And there's other things. We're here, I'm not saying these are the only 6 items we need. Rebecca is here. Rebecca, if you'd raise your hand. She put the website together. These presentations will be put on the website. I want the community to be able to put things on the website. I want this to be a permanent commitment to this particular community as we continue to find these particular options moving forward. And you have that website address there. That was one of the requests at the last meeting. Here is the junior freeway problem. I think I have 5 of them in the region where you're on a freeway facility, you're transitioning, and the roadway looks like a freeway, but it's no longer a freeway facility. Look which one is the biggest. This is the one that you're coming down 408, Loop 12, transitioning across 6735 over 47. You also have that as the extension of 408 as you transition in Clark Road. But the real culprit, I think, is Loop 12. I think I apologize, I think I said Southern Gateway before. You're heading down Loop 12. You're now transitioning to the old Loop 12. And the old Loop 12 needs to be modernized to the new thoroughfare standard, so that driver knows, I need to start slowing down, I'm on a thoroughfare street. Longer term things, again, the senator talked about, look, we all have roles and responsibilities. Hey, Vice Chairman of the Senate, Senator West, is there a way we could potentially fund a statewide junior freeway safety program and use this particular project as the poster child, where other corridors across the state that have this modern freeway transitioning to an older junior freeway needing to be updated, that we create a partnership through TxDOT statewide, fund these in advance, maybe before the fatalities actually occur. If you're gonna go to thoroughfare street, you gotta start moving away from a rural cross-section and put in curbs. Curbs creates opportunities for stormwater, more illumination, and then the community, working with Gus, do you create economic development destinations? So when you travel, this is especially true on Northwest Highway on the north as well. Northwest Highway has very few destinations. If you create destinations, I'm not just going as fast as I can to drive through this community, I'm driving to particular economic nodes. So we gotta bring the land use side into this as well. How can we create neighborhood investments, economic destinations, architectural features that tell us you're now at this particular part of the historic community? So those destinations, that land use and those destinations are used to inhibit the really fast traffic that's simply traveling through the community. So I will stop there, Senator, and you can introduce our next speaker.
All right, Gus, City of Dallas.
Good evening.
Does that work?
You have to turn it on to Gus like that.
Is it on? Okay. Good evening. Thank you, Senator and Mr. Morris. Again, to my colleagues here, thank you so very much for having me here. My name is Gus McCarley. I'm the Director of the Department of Transportation and Public Works for the City of Dallas. Certainly, this is a partnership effort that without this partnership, we cannot make any significant improvements along the corridor. So in the presentation here, I'm going to just go over a few items that cover the important support of the work. Okay, so even though that this is a TxDOT facility, we don't view it that way. We view it as a partner and part of this commitment. So one of the things that Cesar mentioned is about all these traffic signals. I just wanted to kind of show the partnership that we have with TxDOT. The City of Dallas maintains and operates these traffic signals. So once they're turned on and becomes operational, the City of Dallas will take over the maintenance and operation and keep the upkeep of these traffic signals. So we continuously work with DART also on improvements to their bus stops and or their planning effort to make improvements along the corridor as well as any other location around the city. We also have internal coordination with several departments. As you've heard me say on numerous occasions, the key to driving or making impact on these issues of crashes and fatalities is based on the 3 E's of engineering, education, and enforcement. So while we're talking about engineering, and maybe the emphasis is on engineering, however, we shouldn't be overlooking the enforcement component and the education component, because I'm going to talk about one statistic that Senator West mentioned, but I'm going to point out a couple of things on it. So we work on these things. Can you go back, please? Okay, so we work internally with other departments, and then also we have our field teams who will be continuously looking at vegetation management, which is basically trimming some of the overgrowth of the trees on the sidewalks. And then also we're doing again, thank you to Mr. Morris and the RTC. We're working on a new traffic signal at Loop 12 and Country Creek, and certainly I cannot overlook also TechStop, because these are the funds that are managed through the TechStop office here for us for citations on that corridor. So again, great appreciations to DPD for the effort, the stepped up effort on the enforcement in that area. Next, if you look at the crashes versus fatalities, unfortunately, it looks like while the number of crashes have gone down, however, it looks like we're having on some of the crashes multiple fatalities in them. So this is something that we need to kind of, again, do better as part of the education piece in addition to the enforcement and the engineering, because this is what's happening is while we're making some headways, and I've already mentioned that even in my presentation to council on one of the Vision Zero presentations, and I made that point, is our crashes continue to go down, but I've got to give it a shot. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for having us again. Rob Smith was the guard official who came last time. He's not able to be here again. This time we have a board meeting tonight. There's a lot of stuff going on. So Rob couldn't make it.
A lot of stuff going on.
Yes, sir. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, this is just a summary of where we were before. Bus stops for us are very important. They act as the doorway to our system. And in many cases, DART has a long-standing good neighbor policy. So what that translates to is if customers call and they say, you know, the next stoplight's a mile away, I don't have that kind of mobility, there's no sidewalks, or these other extenuating circumstances, over the years, what happens is that you see more and more bus stops being placed for the community and customer. It's a balance. We're balancing between accessibility, safety, convenience, and in some cases we're making up for a lack of alternatives or other amenities. And so we felt like due to the position that our partner agencies took in this matter, how serious they were in addressing it, we just felt like we had to change. And we removed right away 23 bus stops. In addition, there's different groups of bus stops that we've identified which ones need to be dealt with and which ones are in safe situations. And probably most importantly, we've also agreed from this point on not to put any mid-block stops on state facilities unless there's a signalized crossing path. Okay, so this no change. Now this includes from 35 across to Genoa. That's the kind of bus stop counts we're looking at here. So it's not all the way from Walter Walker, but it's the majority of the same segment that the other agencies have spoken about. We removed 23 bus stops that were just deemed unsafe based on this approach. There were 56 stops that were already at intersections that were either going to be improved or had improvements. So we left those as is. And in addition, what we focused on mainly since our last meeting are these 18 stops that are mostly locations where TechStop has begun to construct signals. So if we can go to the next slide. Oh, this didn't come out very well, I'm sorry. We got a lot of feedback from the last meeting that there were too many things on the map, right? So we're trying to respond to that. But the color that was chosen is not the best color for this projection. There's golden triangles on this map across the reach of the segment I described. Those represent those 18 locations that we were talking about. We've looked at them a number of times. The 18 locations are basically 9 or 10 intersections, depending on how you count, because not all
the streets pass through from side to side. There's some cut in some of the streets. So let's just say 10 intersections. Of those 10 intersections, it seems that 6 of the intersections were going to be okay. The signal that's being constructed is right there where the stop is. Actually, you can see some of these in Season's photos. You can see the bus stop right there. There's another smaller group of intersections, 4 or 5 intersections, where we're strongly considering what to do. The stop, in some cases, is within 100 feet. It takes about 45 seconds to walk 100 feet for a normally mobile person. So that seems within reach to us. For stops that are 300, 400, 500 feet away from the intersection, our consideration is to relocate them. In some cases, that would mean uprooting a shelter that's been there for many years and that's highly used. So that's a difficult decision because the intersection that we're relocated to doesn't have the same kind of right-of-way available, so we can't just move the shelter. So the amenity would be lost and the community would suffer that loss. So it's a difficult decision to make. But for the most part, these 18 intersections are our main focus at this point, in addition to the moratorium on mid-block stops from here on. So that's where we're at. And these maps are from the previous meeting. I'm not sure when they were there. But anyway, I think it's the last one. Yeah. Thanks again.
Okay, ma'am, I don't want to spend a bunch of time on presentations. I want to make certain I hear from you about questions that you have about where we are in this particular process, and if you have any questions about the presentations. So the floor is open.
About the hand cards that they use, that they filled out, they come to us.
Okay. Does everyone have cards?
Raise your hand. Raise your hand.
Do you all need glasses? Shoot.
Okay. I'm gonna try to read your hand card too.
That's gonna be hard.
That's gonna be hard.
On the end.
Question, need more traffic lights and more visible crosswalk lights. That's a statement, Iris? Watson? Iris? Okay.
Yeah, my girlfriend's daughter passed last year off of Rockford. She was hit by a car. Walking across the Texas road.
Yeah, and again, you heard exactly what's being planned in terms of crosswalks, lights, illumination, and hopefully we can reduce that, because the fatalities that Gus was talking about, all those were pedestrian, they weren't vehicle fatalities, they were pedestrian fatalities. And so that's what we're gonna have to try to make certain we put in place, and also make sure we get the education. Other questions?
Under the fatalities that we had, can you tell me?
Oh, let me get the microphone to the aisle.
Under the fatalities that y'all have listed there going back 3 years, how many of those are related to whether the driver was under the influence? Because no matter what you put up, if you don't do something about that, everything still gonna kill. Like the way it happened to Carl Davis right now as well.
Gus, can you answer that question?
I mean, again, that's what I mentioned as part of our approach of the 3 E's, which is education is very important. And while we at the city will take the initiative and we're going to have brochures, but we're going to have to go out to the community, and the community has to help us in their gatherings to ensure that we spread the word and educate folks on the dangers of driving under the influence and or driving while intoxicated and any other.
So the source of the question, I think, is an excellent one.
maybe what we should do as a homework assignment is to go back and read that police report to find out what the cause of the particular fatality was. Was it excessive speed? Was it under the influence? Was it distracted driving? That would help.
Okay. So the source of the question is, and this would be in the fatality report, if a person is drunk or under the influence, we as engineers probably have little impact to do that. So Gus is reinforcing, we need police enforcement and we need education. Now, in the meantime, TxDOT and the city can go back and pull those fatality records and put them into 3 buckets. What was is there a leading, did the police officer think the leading fatality was due to the driver? Was it something to do with the pedestrian crossing mid-block? Was there something that the roadway caused? So maybe at the next meeting, we can do a little more due diligence. I thought it would have been very inappropriate for us to do that for this meeting, because we're pulling all the punches to build everything we can, but maybe now we can start looking at that a little closer.
Okay. And I believe that the reality was that the guy was on the wrong one and is intoxicated.
Well, yeah.
Okay. You're talking about Carol?
The TxDOT, how accurate is your 2025 information? What time period did that include? You really don't have to answer that question right now.
Well, let it go in there.
Okay.
So including, we rely on police reports, and so we're waiting for those police reports to be recorded in our system. So it's anything that is up to date. So we pulled it recently, but again, some of those reports lag, and so we'll continue to update them.
Okay. If a person is hit by a car and dies a few days later at a hospital, will that death be included as a TxDOT fatality?
A lot of times the police report will be updated, and so yes, it will be recorded as a fatality.
Okay.
One other question. Go ahead.
Okay, last question. Do we have race-based death data? And I'm gonna just be real plain and upfront. If we had this many deaths with 75-year-old white women on Loop 12, we would have a serious issue, not only in Dallas, but America. Both of these deaths.
What's the question?
My question is, do we have race-based data?
The police reports record the race of the individual who was killed in the crash, so we can pull that information.
Okay.
October 31st, 2025, Fred Hemphill was killed, a hit-and-run accident on Lancaster Road in Ledbetter.
All right. Let me. Go ahead.
Arthur Fleming, relative of Eddie.
Hey, Arthur, speak up, sir.
Arthur Fleming, relative of Eddie Fleming, when the building was on Ledbetter. The question I have is administrative infrastructure to maintain. What type of administrative infrastructure you have in place to maintain what we're doing now? Who do we come to if we have issues of concern? We're going to have to go and get all y'all together again, right? With a website that we talked about, will it remain as a community information resource after the completion of this program?
Yes. The answer to your question is yes, it will remain in effect. And if there's an issue and it's not addressed by the website, you've never had a problem getting a hold of me. And we'll make certain that we address the issue. Okay? All right.
Good evening. I'm Natasha Durrell, so I attended the last meeting, and I want to say thank y'all first for being sensitive to moving up their timelines, because as you can see, this is an issue that's near and dear. We lose kids too often, as Senator said, one is too many. My question was actually part of Mr. Fleming's question about how do we maintain the cohesiveness, who is our point of contact as it pertains to getting involved in these coalitions? You know, Taylor and I have been working together, but as the community as a whole, there's a lot of people here that I know have strong insights and opinions on what we need to make Route 12 and that corridor better. So what does that look like with community and coalition building going forward from this point, now that we're at the design phase and things like that?
Well, I mean, and again, the reason that, and it was a great idea to put the website up, everyone can have input into what we're doing. If they use the website, they can put the information on the website, okay? You have chats and all of that, so some of us are not computer savvy, I understand that. They can call the Senate office and provide the information to us at the Senate office. And we'll make certain that it gets put in the right bucket, so to speak, and be addressed. But the main thing is we got to have everybody involved. No sense of whining on the sideline if you're not going to come up with solutions, okay?
So
and I'm not saying you whining. I'm not saying you whining.
Well, I know I'm not.
I know.
But no, will there be any other, specifically, will there be community listening sessions?
Absolutely.
And we'll get due notice in time to make sure that we have people present. Okay. And then we had a question about the striping on Loop 12. Is terrible in some areas. What is that on the radar to just go and redo the striping?
Yeah, let me get a timeline on the striping. We're currently driving roads at night to see what our visibility is, and so we're definitely going to be driving Loop 12, but I will get a timeline on when we plan to restripe.
Yes. Use the microphone, right? And I need you to say your name also.
My name is Christopher Curry, and I was asked to key out the crosswalk in front of 4 Cleveland.
Can we put a crosswalk in front of 4 Cleveland?
Yes, sir.
So we're going to have to look to see how many people are crossing. We want to be able to cross safely, and so we've got a signal pretty close. Let's see if people can use that, but if not, we can evaluate it.
Thank you.
Okay, young man.
My name is Mark Alexander, and I want to talk about the tar that's on the roads, like in front of my school, South Oak Cliff.
You said the tar?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They just put tar over there, and it drives smooth, and I just want to, for everybody to, experience that and just have that. Yes.
So we recently resurfaced in front of your school. We do that on a continual basis, so every few years our plan is to continue to resurface, and so we will continue to resurface different sections of Loop 12, and that provides that smoother surface.
Thank you.
There were some other questions.
I got one, but I'm gonna flip the script.
Don't
Not flip, but just flip. Oh, I'm sorry. Anyhow, I am Felicia Sewell. I stay on the southeast side, Lancaster. And my question is, I appreciate everything you guys done for this Loop 12 because it did need it. But over there on Lancaster Road, how would we be able to get the same attention? Because there's been so many fatalities. Just headed this way, there was some guy lost control and hit a light pole and blocked the traffic, was backed up all the way to Loop 12 at the light. So my question is, how can we bring attention as you guys have done on this side for TX dot 342 on Lancaster?
Well, listen, I have a sister that lives on that side. Her name is Zena.
Yeah.
I think she's to your left.
Correct.
She's always in my ear about what's going on. And before you leave here tonight, one of the issues was the mural. That's it. And since Sessions here, we're going to talk about that.
Well, I was going to talk to you about that.
I know, that's why I went on to say it first.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you put it on the record.
Okay. Hold on, let's finish.
So anyone who has transportation needs in other corridors, we're all ears to hear you. I have business cards. Please get them. Rebecca has cards for the website. Rebecca's going to update the website to create a communication tool. so you can send things in. Now that progress is being made, and say she's going to start working on illumination, she can just post something and say, hey, here's what we're thinking about illumination. Where do you think we should have illumination? So we'll continue to enhance the webpage. We got all these cards, so you know how to get to the webpage. And then my business card will be available. I think you start with our office. And then we can triage what is the best way to get a solution to your particular problem. And that applies to all of them.
And Maxie, do you want to say something?
Yes.
And you can also make sure you look at the city council. And this is the city council right there.
Forgive me for being like that, two things going on at the same time. But to answer your question or to make a statement, I've asked for concrete, not just a little asphalt. It's not asphalt. What's the name, Gus, that y'all put in front of
Slurry seal.
what's it called?
Slurry seal.
Blurred seal, I think that's what it's called. I think I said that right. We had some concrete. I want our streets looking like it does in North Dallas. When the nice concrete and stuff like that, that's what I've been asking for. And so when we come over to the southern section, it's always a financial problem. But when we go to North Park, it ain't no financial problem. And I told him when it's time for me to talk, I'm gonna start talking. So it's time for me to talk. So these are things that we've been asking for, and we need results. Real results, because when you say it's a financial problem, I want you to come to the community and prove that we broke. Prove that we can't do it. And show us how we do it in other parts of the town, but we're not doing it over here. So that's what we're asking for, and that's why I'm going to continue to advocate for it. And that's why you're letting me to be your city council, so we can tell the truth and be transparent and accountable, because it's taxpayers' dollars. Thank you.
Yes, sir. You haven't had this.
My name is Howard Williams. I cannot speak that loud this week. I needed this phone. I have three concerns because I come down there quite often. First thing, more tickets for people speeding on that. I want to turn my wife in first.
I'll be your attorney.
That's all right. Secondly, the crossing at Lancaster Road and Lebanon, the light is off. Some kind of is not synchronized properly, so you have people going through the red light quite often. And thirdly, they have drains stopped up in front of William Street for 30 years. We've been there 38 years. It's been unstopped a couple of times, but it's always an accident hazard because of the water standing there. How do you get that?
Session.
We'll take a look at it. I'm writing it down and we'll look at the drains.
Guys, you have any response to that?
That's the one I passed. I will work with Season. It's something that the city can do.
I got to have my statement. Okay, here's another couple of questions here. Excited about what is happening for Route 12. There's some serious concerns on the 12-minute block of Ann Arbor, several calls from 311, very high speed. We want to make certain sure that we talk with you about that before we get out of here. Okay? That's certain. And the next question is, are there any plans to redo the traffic signal located in Ledbetter and University Hills? To redo it? Would it be what? What's the street? University Hills. That's the same council. Are there any plans to redo the traffic signal located in Ledbetter and University Hills?
We've not looked at it, but we can definitely look at it and see if there's issues there at University Hills.
Okay. Next question is on Z9. Sidewalks, trash, what are the plans for sidewalks? And I think we've addressed the issue in terms of sidewalks. Let's talk about the sidewalks again.
So our goal is to have continuous sidewalks. We've got one project already under construction from 175 to Jim Miller. The other locations were challenged. We've got utilities in the way, so the franchise companies are there.
Why don't you get a microphone? No one else in here. Microphone. Stand.
Okay, so you said, what about the sidewalks from 35 through, I guess, right at University Hill maybe, or Glendale? I think it stopped right up there. Are you guys planning to put sidewalks in some areas that do not have sidewalks?
Our plan is to have sidewalks throughout the entire corridor, so that's what we're working towards, yes.
Okay, great. And when are you planning to do that?
So it's a couple years out, mainly because there's either utilities that have to move, sometimes we've got to design retaining walls in order to make that happen, and so it's a little bit lengthier than just going and pouring, straight sidewalk, and so we're working towards it.
So what is your estimated time?
Right now, we're about 2 years out on it, but we're trying to improve that.
Okay. Here's a question. How does TxDOT decide what intersections form new traffic signals?
So there's 8 warrants that you have to look at. You look at traffic, you look at accidents. I don't know the other ones off the top of my head, but we follow the process. And then we work with Gus to make sure that he's good with it. So that is the process that we look at if we're looking at new traffic signals.
You mentioned retaining walls, and I know at the last meeting you referenced that as well. What's the methodology for determining if and where a retaining wall will be placed? Because I think the conversation from the last meeting was that this is still our community, and we don't want a lot of blockage in that area.
The biggest thing for retaining walls is if we don't own enough right-of-way, so the TxDOT right-of-way line is very close to the curb, and the grade of the terrain is steep, then we've got to they're not going to be very big retaining walls, they're going to be short retaining walls. We kind of call them sidewalk walls, just so that we can fit in that sidewalk. But mainly it's because of the terrain, we just don't have enough room to cut that slope back in order to put in the sidewalk.
So just to help here, if there's no sidewalk and this this little hill goes to here, and you want to put in a sidewalk, you got to come in and build a 2-foot section. It's a short section, so the sidewalk can go in, and the dirt doesn't just simply keep falling on the sidewalk. So that has to be engineered. Utilities can't be under it. It's a more complicated question. I think what Season's doing is where she can put in sidewalks now without those shorter walls. She's doing everything she can to get those in now.
Yes.
I'm Michaela. Michaela, I'm sorry, thank you. So my questions and concerns kind of have to do with the sidewalk. I was thinking it's not instead of, but like trees also as physical barriers. I guess it would kind of be harmful for those drivers who crash, but it would be beneficial to pedestrians. That way there's like a physical barrier and it's just trees. And then also I think education, someone mentioned education as a third aspect to improving the fatality rate. So I would want to know how many repeated speeders, are we catching, and if we could have education initiatives that are towards those speeders, that way we can prevent people that are constantly speeding and stop the speeding with the people that are doing it. And then also education for pedestrians who are walking on how to be safe, I guess. What are the community's plans or your plans for that?
Guys, let's talk about trees first, guys.
We're constantly evaluating the trees, so if there's a particular area of concern, happy to talk to you and get the location and we'll look into it.
Make sure we identify if there are areas where there are tree issues, specifically identified in conjunction with what they're currently doing, so we can make sure that it's addressed, okay? Yeah. And the other question, in terms of repeat offenders, it's a state issue in part because we've provided state laws that penalize persons when they are repeat offenders. And so we have a state law. And so obviously it's an enforcement issue with the police department here locally also. But if they can identify now because they have computer systems within their cars, that's exactly what that person's status has been as it relates to how many times they've been cited for speed. Okay? So it's going on. And yes, we have defensive driving courses that people have to take. If they get too many tickets, those licenses can be taken away and they get occupational license. So there's a whole system related to that, but if we get too many speed tickets, your license can in fact be suspended. Okay? All right, this question is, it's more practical to simultaneously construct this piece so is it more practical to simultaneously construct multiple traffic signals at various locations versus constructing and completing one at a time?
So we're doing multiple signals at one time, and so our hope was we'd get a better price. One challenge we have in this area is we don't have many signal contractors, and so what we did was we actually split it into three different contracts, hoping to get different signal contractors so that they could speed it up. And so for us, it is more practical to do more than one signal at a time rather than just do one sequentially.
Okay. Yes.
Hi, my name is Taylor Wortham. I had a question about.
I'm sorry, your name is what?
Taylor Wortham. I had a question. It was to Michael, and it was about those speeding signs thing that tell you if you're going over the speed limit and their effectiveness. I mean, I know we had a couple. I think 2 got hit. So I was wondering if that those dollars were more flexible into something else that would actually be more effective than the signs. I really believe that they're slowing people down.
Well, the most effective thing is police enforcement. The more the merrier, especially as you transition into this particular corridor and you're traveling way too fast. I came from that particular direction. I remained shocked at the speed of the traffic on a thoroughfare street. There's 2 types of these dynamic message signs. One of them is just an information one. Sometimes we tie this to police enforcement. Hey, everybody, police enforcement is going to be happening from 6 to 9 o'clock today, and we actually tie the communication to the police enforcement. The purpose isn't to write tickets. The purpose is to slow everyone down. So the Regional Transportation Council has just funded a major police enforcement strategy, and it's going to be tied to the dynamic message signs, especially late at night and on some of the freeways. I don't want police officers killed in the middle of the night doing police enforcement. So you'll see us tie them to the dynamic message signs. The other ones are, the card, the speed limit is 40 and you're going 73. That is intended to wake up that driver that they're transitioning to a new facility. And I think you're absolutely right. They don't necessarily pay attention to it. And if we can get that information recorded, it helps us know exactly where to pinpoint the police enforcement.
I wanted to respond to a question that you asked, Mike. You said that if we did put a bridge in the park, and the community use it, of course, like that would be an amazing amenity for our community to add that bridge. I also want to say thank you all for the landing plan that you all applied and gave to the park department, because that is really important for us as we prepare to go into the design phase of that bridge. I recently have become the park board appointee with Councilman Johnson, so I will be working hand in hand with the community and the park department to get that design phase done for that bridge across Glendale, so it'll be ready to go by the next legislative session so we can get funded. And then we'll be able to start having that bridge or break ground. But of course, I think the community will use it, and I think that's a huge amenity and celebration for our neighbors as well.
Well, we very much appreciate it. We actually had to go into the field, take 2 people. Okay, you're going to walk over here, and here's the final design the community wants. You might have to walk a little bit further. It has to be ADA compliant for you to get over. It is critical that the community design it so they know exactly where it goes and how long it will be and so on and so forth. We may may not have to wait for the next legislature to fund it, if the design can be done, but you gotta promise me, we're not gonna build an X $1 million pedestrian structure, and people are just gonna simply walk across the street.
I'll stand in the media to make sure they don't.
I'll loan you my safety jacket, if you can tell them you gotta take it.
Are there any other questions? Are there any other questions? Okay.
Community person. Please, Stephon Chandler, living at 75241 right around the corner. Thank you guys for doing this. But I wanted to know, we talked about engineering, enforcement, and education. I know you guys are going to try to get upset with what we're about to say, but we need to look at perhaps the red light cameras again and putting them in the community. You want to slow them down, right? You want to slow them down, right? So you use that money to fund the other project.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, right. Okay. I'll tell you some stories about that, okay? Okay.
We know what happened there.
We know what happens with like that. Are there any other questions? Okay. So where do we go from here? I think it's important to keep the community up on exactly what's going on. You know where we are right now in terms of the process. And so sometime late spring, we have another community meeting to make sure we update you in terms of where we are. And it may be a little later than late spring because there's some deliverables, I think, next year that we told you that we would provide. And so we want to make certain that we come back and let you know whether or not the deliverables have actually been completed. Okay? And so we do that. We want to make certain, though, that as you have questions, that you make certain you go to the website or call the office. Because I know everyone is not computer literate. In fact, Carol has to help me most of the time on the computer. Okay? But we want to make certain we answer your questions. And we're working with Maxie, Lori Blair, representatives on DART, City, Department of Transportation. We may not get 100%, but I be assured that we will get most of the things that we're asking for are reasonable. There won't be any differential between the north and the south. Maxie and I and others will make certain that whatever happens on the north side happens here on the southern side. Okay? Now, let me be real clear. I don't judge that as how should I say it, as the standard, because we can set our own standards.
That's right.
And we can set our own standards and do above and beyond.
That's right.
What's being done in the north. Okay? If we continue to work together. And you have elected officials, they can in fact work together. Okay? Now, you said this meeting would be over at 8 o'clock. What time is it?
You got 9 minutes.
I don't know where you're gonna go, but you need to get it. Thank y'all very much. And if there's some questions, I want this to be all about the board. Thank you very much.